Now, in Ohio, a Libertarian candidate for the governor's race in 2014, Earl, is desperately trying to get on the ballot. But it's become very difficult for him after the judge of a district court in Ohio ruled that Earl was ineligible due to invalid collection of petition signatures. The same judge also wrote this about the person who brought up the case against the Libertarian candidate. His testimony demonstrates that he lacks even a basic understanding of the nature of the protest he agreed to sign. To state the obvious, Phil Sochi's testimony, as well as other evidence in the record, supports an inference that operatives or supporters of the Ohio Republican Party orchestrated the protest that Phil Sochi signed. But that still had no bearing on the legal issue at hand. Earlier today, I spoke with Earl, a Libertarian candidate for governor in Ohio. I first asked him why he thinks the GOP was behind him getting kicked off the ballot.
Okay, the court decision was issued yesterday, the opinion of Judge Watson, which basically said that we wouldn't be allowed on the ballot due to some technical issues, one of which we had a deficiency in our petition filing, in the sense that our independent contractor who had gathered some signatures for us didn't indicate who his employer was. He had testified in the Secretary of State's hearing that he had been petitioning in Ohio for more than 10 years and had never had to do it before, and that since he was a self-employed independent contractor, he didn't think it was necessary to do that. We also found out in the federal hearing that that element had never been enforced in the state of Ohio, at least in the last 10 years. So we were a little puzzled by that, but the law strictly says that that portion must be filled out. So I guess they decided at this time to finally enforce the issue. And but we have filed an appeal in the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, and that was docketed this morning at 10 o'clock.
Mr. Earl, in his opinion, Judge Watson also noted that, quote, the Ohio Democratic Party or its operatives or supporters provided assistance to the Libertarian Party of Ohio in their efforts to gather petition signatures. So the Democrats were helping you out.
Well, not directly, in the sense that there is a firm called Strategy Network that does a lot of work for Democrats and Democratic-oriented issues. They also represent the Freedom the Mary organization, who has a lot of affiliation with libertarians. And it was the Strategy Network that put some of their people to work collecting signatures for us. These were unaffiliated collectors or circulators. They weren't Democrats, not registered Democrats. And in fact, in the Secretary of State's hearing, all of their signatures were valid. There was no issue there. The only issue is with the paid independent contractor.
But wouldn't the Democrats be interested in you being on the ballot because it kind of makes you a spoiler for the Republicans?
Well, perhaps, but that's sort of a myth surrounding libertarians. Historically, we draw from both parties, and actually we draw from people who are disaffiliated and disillusioned with both parties. Roughly 50% of the voters don't belong to either party. Now, they may lean right or lean left or whatever, but an analysis, for example, of Virginia, probably the most recent example, they went back and did an analysis of polling after the election, exit polling, and found out that more Democrat-leaning people voted for Sarvis than Republican-leaning people. The data that I've seen would indicate that in red states we draw a few more Republicans over Democrats, and in blue states we draw a few more Democrats, just because of the sheer numbers on both sides. We draw from both sides of the spectrum. I think it's just a myth, the Republic, because we preach constitutionalism and individual liberty, and that's part of their playbook, though they don't implement it. They see us as a threat on their right. I think we're a threat to both parties.
That was Earl, a Libertarian candidate for governor in Ohio.